When the multi-car accident brought 47 critically injured patients to Memorial Hospital, overwhelming the emergency department, security guard Lisa Martinez was supposed to manage crowd control and keep families calm while medical staff handled the crisis. Instead, she immediately began implementing battlefield triage protocols with the precision of someone who had spent 8 years as an Army combat medic in Afghanistan, revealing that their hospital security guard wasn't just protection. She was a former military medical specialist whose trauma care expertise had saved lives in the world's most dangerous combat zones. The call came in at 3:47 p.m. on what had started as a routine Tuesday afternoon at Memorial Hospital. A devastating multi-vehicle collision on Interstate 95 had created the kind of mass casualty event that hospital administrators train for, but pray never happens. Lisa Martinez was conducting her regular security rounds through the emergency department when the first ambulance screamed into the trauma bay. As the hospital's evening security supervisor, her job was straightforward: maintain order, manage visitor access, and ensure patient safety during normal operations. She had been working these halls for 3 years, earning respect from staff who appreciated her calm professionalism and intuitive understanding of medical emergencies that seemed unusual for someone with just security training. But this wasn't normal operations. This was the kind of crisis that would test everything she had learned in both her civilian role and her previous life. Within 12 minutes, 17 ambulances had arrived at Memorial Hospital's emergency entrance. The radio chatter was chaos. 47 patients with injuries ranging from minor lacerations to life-threatening trauma. Families were arriving in panic. Media vehicles were already gathering outside, and the hospital's emergency department, designed to handle perhaps 8 critical patients simultaneously, was about to be tested beyond its limits. Lisa watched the first wave of casualties arrive and felt something deep inside her shift. The controlled chaos, the urgent voices calling out medical terminology, the sight of serious trauma, it all triggered muscle memory from another time, another place, where life and death decisions happened in seconds. While hospital staff scrambled to implement their mass casualty protocols, Lisa noticed something that others missed. The triage system was breaking down. Patients were being categorized incorrectly. Critical cases were waiting too long, and the medical staff, minus excellent as they were, had never managed battlefield-level trauma volume. But Lisa had. In places where improvised explosive devices turned vehicles into death traps, where she had learned to assess 20 casualties in minutes while helicopters landed under mortar fire. In forward operating bases across Afghanistan, she had treated blast injuries, gunshot wounds, and mass casualty events that would overwhelm most civilian medical facilities. She recognized the signs immediately: the organizational chaos that killed patients not from their injuries, but from systemic failure to prioritize care correctly. The first mistake she spotted was a teenage girl classified as yellow, urgent but not immediate. Lisa could see from 20 feet away that the girl's respiratory pattern and skin color indicated internal bleeding that would become life-threatening within minutes. The girl reminded her of a young Afghan interpreter who had been caught in a marketplace explosion. Same age, same injury presentation, same window of time before irreversible shock set in. In a civilian hospital, this might be caught eventually. In combat medicine, eventually meant death. Lisa had learned this lesson too many times, in too many places where eventually became never. Lisa stepped forward, her hands already moving with practiced precision. "Dr. Stevens," she called to the attending physician, "the blonde teenager in bed 7 needs immediate surgical intervention, internal abdominal bleeding, probably grade 3 liver laceration based on presentation." Dr. Stevens looked up, surprised. He had worked with Lisa for 2 years and respected her judgment, but this level of medical assessment was unexpected. "Lisa, I appreciate your concern, but we have protocols, and I have 8 years of combat medical experience treating exactly these injuries under fire," Lisa replied, moving toward the patient with the confident stride of someone who had walked through hospital corridors and fire-base medical tents with equal authority. "With respect, doctor, your protocols work for normal volume. This is battlefield medicine now." She began rapid assessment of the teenager, her hands moving with the practiced efficiency of someone who had performed triage while mortar rounds exploded overhead. Her touch was gentle but decisive, checking pulse points, assessing breathing patterns, looking for the subtle signs that meant the difference between life and death. Within 30 seconds, she had confirmed her diagnosis and was already calling for surgical prep, her voice carrying the calm authority that came from making life or death decisions in chaos. Dr. Stevens watched in amazement as Lisa quickly moved to the next patient, an elderly man whose obvious broken arm had overshadowed signs of traumatic brain injury that civilian triage had missed. Her assessment was swift but thorough, checking pupil response and consciousness levels with techniques he recognized from military medical manuals. "How are you seeing things we're missing?" Dr. Stevens asked, following her as she moved with purposeful efficiency through the emergency department. "Because you're looking at patients," Lisa replied, applying pressure to control bleeding on a construction worker's leg wound while simultaneously assessing his overall trauma status. "I'm looking at battlefield casualties. Different perspective, different priorities. In Afghanistan, we couldn't afford to miss anything because there was no second chance, no backup plan if we got it wrong. What happened next would be talked about in medical conferences for years." Lisa Martinez transformed Memorial Hospital's emergency department into the most efficient trauma center the facility had ever operated. Using battlefield triage protocols she had learned in military medical training, she began rapidly categorizing patients with a speed and accuracy that stunned the medical staff. Red tags for immediate life-threatening injuries requiring surgery within minutes, yellow for urgent cases that could wait 30 minutes without deterioration, green for minor injuries that could be treated by nurses, black for patients who, tragically, were beyond help. But it wasn't just the triage system. Lisa began implementing combat medical techniques that civilian hospitals rarely used, tourniquet applications that civilian medics hesitated to employ, pressure point controls for arterial bleeding, combat gauze applications for penetrating wounds. "Where did you learn to do this?" asked Dr. Jennifer Walsh, the emergency department chief, as she watched Lisa successfully manage a tension pneumothorax, a collapsed lung that would have been fatal without immediate intervention. "Kandahar Province, 2018, Lisa replied, moving to help stabilize a patient with multiple fractures. IED explosion took out a convoy, 14 casualties, no immediate backup, limited supplies. You learn to work fast or you lose people." As the crisis continued, Lisa's true background became clear to everyone in the emergency department. She wasn't just a security guard who had picked up some medical knowledge, she was a decorated Army combat medic whose service record included some of the most dangerous medical missions in recent military history. Staff Sergeant Lisa Martinez had served 3 deployments in Afghanistan as part of the 68W Combat Medic Program. She had provided medical care in forward operating bases, accompanied infantry patrols as their embedded medic, and had been decorated twice for saving soldiers' lives under enemy fire. Her awards included the Combat Medical Badge, the Bronze Star Medal, and commendations for valor that she rarely discussed with her civilian colleagues. Her military medical training included advanced battlefield trauma care, combat casualty care protocols, and mass casualty triage systems developed by military medicine for exactly the kind of overwhelming trauma volume that Memorial Hospital was now experiencing. She had learned to work with limited supplies under hostile conditions where every decision could mean the difference between a soldier coming home or never seeing their family again. "I've treated blast injuries, gunshot wounds, and chemical exposure," Lisa explained to Dr. Stevens as they worked together to stabilize a patient with internal injuries, her voice carrying the weight of experiences that most civilian medical professionals would never face. "Afghanistan taught me that when systems break down, you improvise, adapt, and never stop moving. Every second counts when people are dying." She paused for a moment, her hands still working efficiently on the patient, and added quietly, "I've held too many hands of people who didn't make it home. Today, nobody dies on my watch if I can help it." The determination in her voice came from a place deeper than professional training. It came from promises made to fellow soldiers, from lessons learned in the hardest school imaginable. The difference Lisa's expertise made was measurable and deeply personal. Patients who might have died from delayed treatment were receiving immediate care that would allow them to return to their families. Injuries that civilian triage had underestimated were being properly prioritized with the urgency they deserved. Medical resources were being allocated with military efficiency born from experience where waste meant death. The teenage girl Lisa had identified first was already in surgery, her life saved by the early recognition of internal bleeding. Later, Lisa would learn that the girl was named Emma, a high school senior planning to study nursing. The elderly man with traumatic brain injury was receiving neurological intervention that would prevent permanent disability. His name was Robert, a grandfather of 5, who still had stories to tell his grandchildren. These weren't just medical victories, they were families that would remain whole, futures that would continue, dreams that wouldn't end on a Tuesday afternoon in Connecticut. Dr. Walsh later estimated that Lisa's intervention had saved at least 4 lives that day and prevented serious complications in a dozen more patients. But for Lisa, each patient represented something more personal, a second chance she was determined to give them, the kind of second chance that not all her soldiers had received in Afghanistan. "You're not just security," Dr. Walsh said during a brief break in the crisis, watching Lisa coordinate care with the efficiency of a field commander who had learned to save lives under impossible conditions. "You're one of the most qualified trauma specialists I've ever worked with." "I'm someone who learned that every life matters," Lisa replied, her voice carrying the conviction of someone who had fought too hard and lost too much to ever take a human life for granted. Whether it's a wounded soldier in Afghanistan or a family in a car accident in Connecticut, the techniques are the same. The mission is the same. Save lives no matter what. In that moment, Dr. Walsh understood that she wasn't just watching exceptional medical skills, she was witnessing a calling that transcended uniform or title. Word of Lisa's extraordinary performance during the mass casualty event reached federal authorities within hours. The Department of Veterans Affairs sent representatives to Memorial Hospital to document how a combat medic's skills had translated to civilian emergency medicine. Military medical officials were particularly interested in Lisa's successful adaptation of battlefield triage protocols to civilian hospital operations. Her ability to rapidly assess and prioritize multiple trauma patients had demonstrated the value of military medical training in civilian emergency preparedness. The hospital administration was equally impressed. Within a week, Memorial Hospital offered Lisa a position as Emergency Department Trauma Coordinator, a role that would utilize her military medical expertise to improve the hospital's mass casualty response capabilities. "Your military training isn't just a background asset," Hospital Administrator Sarah Chen explained. "It's exactly what we need to prepare for the kinds of emergencies that overwhelm traditional medical protocols." Lisa's story became a powerful example of how military veterans continue serving their communities in unexpected ways. Local news coverage highlighted how an Army combat medic working as hospital security had provided life-saving expertise during a critical emergency. The families of patients whose lives Lisa had saved spoke publicly about the difference her military medical training had made. Parents credited her with saving their teenager's life. Adult children thanked her for preventing their elderly father's traumatic brain injury from becoming fatal. Memorial Hospital began incorporating military-style triage training into their emergency preparedness protocols, recognizing that combat medical techniques could enhance civilian trauma care during mass casualty events. Lisa's veteran status became a source of pride for the hospital community. Her combination of security expertise and advanced medical training represented the kind of dual-capability professional that healthcare facilities needed for comprehensive emergency response. Lisa's successful intervention highlighted the broader issue of veteran skill utilization in civilian careers. Her story demonstrated how military medical training could provide crucial expertise that enhanced civilian healthcare emergency response. Veterans Affairs representatives worked with Memorial Hospital to develop programs that would identify and utilize military medical expertise among healthcare workers. Lisa's experience became a model for how combat medics could transition their skills to civilian emergency medicine roles. The program expanded to other hospitals in the region, with facilities actively recruiting veterans, with medical military occupational specialties for security and emergency response positions. Military medical training doesn't end when you leave service, Lisa explained to other veterans considering healthcare careers. The skills you learn saving lives in combat zones can save lives in civilian hospitals. The mission continues, just in a different uniform. Today, Lisa Martinez serves as Memorial Hospital's Emergency Trauma Coordinator, a position that combines her security expertise with her military medical background. She has developed mass casualty response protocols that incorporate combat medical techniques, improving the hospital's ability to handle large-scale emergencies. But more importantly, she has created a bridge between military medicine and civilian healthcare that honors both worlds. Her office wall displays her combat medical badge alongside civilian emergency medical certifications, representing a journey from battlefield medic to hospital guardian. Photos of her military unit share space with thank you letters from families whose lives she saved during that crucial Tuesday afternoon. Her story represents thousands of military veterans who continue serving their communities in civilian roles, bringing specialized training and dedication to public service missions that save lives every day. Sometimes the person protecting your safety in everyday situations carries expertise developed serving America in the most challenging environments worldwide, and their commitment to service never truly ends. Lisa's transition from Army combat medic to hospital security to emergency trauma coordinator demonstrates how military training enhances civilian careers in unexpected ways. Her commitment to saving lives, whether in Afghan combat zones or Connecticut hospitals, reflects the enduring service ethic that veterans bring to their communities, a promise that transcends uniform, location, or circumstance. The mission never really ends, Lisa reflects, looking out at the emergency department where she has found her calling continued in a new form. Whether you're treating a wounded soldier or helping families during the worst day of their lives, the goal is the same. Use your training, stay calm under pressure, and never stop fighting to save lives. That's what we do. That's who we are. For Lisa Martinez, serving others isn't just a job. It's a calling that continued from the battlefields of Afghanistan to the emergency departments of American hospitals, proving that heroes often work in plain sight, ready to answer the call when their communities need them most. And sometimes, the person checking your ID at the hospital entrance carries the skills to save your life, because service, once given, becomes a lifetime commitment to protecting others.